As we roll today, future debt is fully paid. Oh, in the storm. We're poor, Ashe. We're poor to the creative spirit, the great Ashe out of which we all emerge, Ashe. Ashe. We pour to that creative spirit by whatever name we know it, whatever name you hold in your heart, in your mind, whatever name your ancestors gave, whatever name you learned as a child, whatever name you believe it to be, whatever name you believe it to be in spirit or in science, Ashe. Ashe. We pour to the first human beings who came into existence on this planet, the first human beings who raised the first structures, who cooked the first meals, who taught the first children, who had the first children, the first Africans, the first people who stood upright who walked, who figured out how to stay on this planet, who figured out how to pass that knowledge on to their children and their children's children, the mothers and fathers of civilization. Ashe.
Ashe.
We pour the next libation to their grandchildren, their children's children, those who raised the great early civilizations of Kemet and Kush and Monomotapa, the great medieval civilizations of Ghana and Mali and Songhai and Kanem Bornu. We pour to those who the great civilizations of the Igbo people and the Hausa people and the Kikongo people and the Mabara people, the great Mande civilizations, the great Kikongo, the great civilizations of Southern Africa, the Bantu people, the great civilizations of Southeast Africa, the Dinka, the Shilluk, the Noor. We pour to those millions who raised the foundations from which the world would learn what it meant to be human in the world. Ashe.
Ashe.
We pour to their children who were upon the arrival on the shores of people they had never seen before, found themselves captured and marched overland, found themselves perishing by the millions before they were held on the holding cells and the open air pens on the coast of West, Central, Southern, and East Africa. We pour to the ancestors who did not know as they were stripped of all clothing and sent denuded into boats, packed like animals, and strewn their bones across the floor of the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. We pour to them who in the last moment on Africa grabbed the sand and grabbed the dirt and put it in their mouths and understood that the only thing they might have to preserve their place in that continent was their memory of that place and their ability to pass it on to their children. We pour to them. Ashe.
Ashe.
We pour to those Africans and their children who finding themselves cast adrift in Santiago, Cuba, who found themselves cast adrift in Porto, Spain, Trinidad, and Port-au-Prince, Haiti, who found themselves cast adrift in New Orleans and Charleston and Mobile, who found themselves cast adrift in Salvador, Bahia, who found themselves cast adrift in Barbados and the archipelago that formed the wayward and the windward coast. We found them in these places learning Portuguese and Spanish and French, whose often first words was, "Oh my God, oh Madre de Dios," who found themselves praying to survive and pass on to their children the memories. We pour to those ancestors who are represented in the thousands, buried in all the square miles of where we stand, and who sit here, buried before us in 400 caskets forged of wood from West Africa with Adinkra symbols. Each one of them, each woman, man, and child, symbolic of millions. The children of those who could not be killed, we pour Ashe.
Ashe.
We pour to their children who somehow survived the hells of enslavement and fought for emancipation in the Caribbean, the French, British, Dutch Caribbean, who fought for emancipation in South America, who fought for emancipation in Central America, who fought the struggles we refer to as the Civil War in the United States, who came out of that, marched out of enslavement through Reconstruction, and found themselves making great migrations, eventually ending up in places like New York. Their children's children, who making a way for themselves, became our great-great-grandparents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our parents. Those who, when the first bones were discovered in this space, held their hands and said, "Stop, no more." We are here to speak for those who can no longer speak with their mouths. We pour for those ancestors, some of whom came to Howard University in 2004 and followed these caskets all the way back to New York. The ones whose names we know and the ones whose names we don't. And at this moment, as we pour this libation, I would ask anyone who feels comfortable to say the name of someone in your bloodline who is no longer physically here, but who you know made it possible for you to be here. Go ahead, let's hear the names. Haywood Carr,
Porter Griffin,
Thomas Jr.,
Evelyn Glover.
We pour to the names that we hold collectively. Ganga Zumba in Brazil, Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and Henri Christophe in Haiti. We pour to the great Avengers, Nanny of the Maroons of Jamaica. We pour to the great ancestors, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass. Say the names that you study. Who are the names of the ancestors that you have come to hold in your heart and your mind as you hope that you can do what they did for us, for your children and children's children? Let's say some of those famous names. Malcolm X, John Henry Clark, John G. Jackson, Jacob Carruthers. And finally, two final libations. We pour to those who make it possible for us to do what we do. We pour to these rangers who stand guardian over this sacred space. We pour To these Africans and these folks who have come from Howard University, the staff, the faculty, the administrators who brought us here today to bear witness. This is not a libation, but an affirmation, because their hearts still beat, their tongues still speak, their minds still think, and their minds still wish the best for us. We pour for all of those people who surrounded us on this journey today and made it possible for us to be here. We pour this affirmation of thanks, Ashe.
Ashe.
And finally, we pour to your children's children's children who will one day stand on this space and speak your name. Ashe.
Ashe.
Yeah, man. Heal me, Hygiene. Look me, Hygiene. Come take a sup of me, chalwa. This the season. Come make me reason. Da da do da day. Heal me, sister. Look me, sister. Come take a sip of me, idol. Feel when deal me dealing, da da do da day. A long, long time I no see your eye. Tell I how the runnings are run, man. Got enough things we go tell of the eye. First I'm gonna play you some music. I'm gonna play you some music now. I'm gonna play you some music. Gonna play you so. Heal me, Hygiene. Look me, Hygiene. Take a sup of me, chalwa. This the season. Come make me reason. Da da do da day. Heal me, sister. Look me, sister. Come take a sip of me, idol. I revive and I love feeling. Da da do da day. I give thanks that you trod on your love. The holy powers they bow. Yo, man a sing, man a chant, man a dance. I'm gonna play you some music. I'm gonna play you some music now. I'm gonna play you some of that musical heavy reggae reading. Hey, gonna play you so. Give me Hygiene, yes me Hygiene. Come take a sup of me, chalwa. Your love is what I bring. I saw me do me thing. Da da do da day. Heal me, sister. Look me, sister. Take another sip of me, idol. Feel me feeling. Deal me dealing. Da da do da day. A long, long time I no see you the eye. They lie out the runnings, they run more. A long, long time I no see you the eye. They lie out the runnings, they run more. Got enough things we go tell of the eye. First I'm gonna play you some music. I'm gonna play you some music now. I'm gonna play you some of that musical heavy reggae reading. Hey, gonna play you so. Heal me, Hygiene. Yes, me, Hygiene, Hygiene. Your love is what I bring. I saw me do me thing.
I'm gonna play you some music.
Hear me, Hygiene. look me hygiene, take another sup of me chalwa. Your love is what I bring, I saw me do me thing, da da ding da dee. Hear me sister, look me sister, take another sip of me hygiene, feed me feed it.
Who knows the word for causing the coming forth of a soul into the day, and possess the light for guiding human spirit and spirit? Who was it that mirroring you as the Holy One of One, whose symbol was the lion, whose power creation? It was said in ancient Ethiopia from stories then old, that the mysteries half could never be told. Material and science a fraction of what existence has to unfold. What word of the mouth could truly tell of what the soul can see? Could the mortal hand ever hold subdued what conscious minds can free? No ear of flesh will hear the call that summons in the dawn. In a congregation gathered, the same occurrence to behold. For overstanding, a few will reach out, while many others will wait in order to be told. What is written, said, holds many clues and meanings, though concealed. Mankind, know yourself, stretch out your hands, may mystery be revealed. I am father, mother, daughter, son, the farmer, and the field. I am the sun, also the rain, both sower and the seed. I am the harvest, I am the need. Let not your hearts be troubled by tears of mortal whim in earthly time. For I am what I am, to who say that I am, and of many, 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 many names through countless ages of man's time. Yes, I am what I am, to who say that I am. Amen, Aten, Ra, Osiris, Isis, Ta, Enlightener, Christ, Messenger, Molda, Murungu, Liza, Nyame, Nomo, Ama, Molimo, Oluron, Ja. Yes, I am what I am, to who say that I am. Ja, Rastafari, in this time. Yes, I am what I am, to who say that I am. Ja, Rastafari, in this time.
This afternoon, and still there's a message in the music. I want to welcome you to the Ancestral Rock on the station for progressive information and hand-picked quality music. WRFJ Atlanta 89.3 FM.
Never Joe. Never Joe. Never Joe. Oh, money never. Money never. Money never. Money never. Money never. Money, and I know what you're conniving. Money. Money never. Money. Money never. Money. Money, you can keep your conniving money. When you've been knocked for a bum, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money never. Money never, money. Money never, money. Money, now I don't want you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. This is all the money that me walk. I said money never. Money never, money. Money never, money. Money, I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph, for me. Oh, Joseph, for me. Oh, Joseph, for me. Get a piece. 1 bunch green plantain. 1 string quackwari. 1 Jill black pepper. All you can buy with a guilda piece. Yes, money never. Money never, money. Money never, money. Money, I don't want you conniving money. When you been knocked for a pound, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money gone, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money gone, you hustle for tell me money. I said money never. Money never, money. Money never, money. Money, I don't want you conniving money. Money never, money. Money never, money. Money, you can keep your conniving money.
It's concerning the vessel exact position. The military grants and the ground subsequently established. Grant for the purpose transportation and storage of the deceased, who are started to recover from the rescue workers. Identification personnel was to take place at the study hospital. The maritime
to the Ancestral Rock on your station for progressive information. Although it might sound like it, that's not a black party. It's not even a celebration, except for a celebration of the spirit of resistance, you know. These are scenes from Guyana National Assembly, the Parliament, less than a week ago. And it was something that is being spoken about all over the world. It is something that's based on a very tragic incident, as we said in our introduction, really going down in the history books as Guyana's most tragic incident thus far, you know, in terms of biggest accident. And we had to qualify the Jonestown massacre, which is on the minds of many people. I can't remember how many times, I can't count, I would say, how many times I've been asked about, well, were you there at Jonestown? When I tell people all over the world that I'm from Guyana, which happened in the late 1970s. That was not an accident, but the boat, the ferry boat, which, as Junior Reid said, as he's thinking about the minibus, is known as poor people's transport in the country of Guyana. This particular ferry boat that sunk in the Atlantic Ocean in the midst of what was supposed to be a 24-hour journey. And the stench, the political stench that has revealed itself after this tragedy, as a part of this tragedy, is something that is on the lips of me. I even spoke to someone this morning that called and said, you know, his Trinidadian brethren from here, I don't want to call any names, called and asked, well, what are you Guyanese people doing about it? So I could play that protest for a little while longer, but we have someone who was engaged in the protest live with us now, and I want to, for the sake of time, bring her on. Her name is Sister Amanza Walton Desir. I met her actually last year at the celebration of my father's birthday in Guyana, and I realized very quickly that this is a sister who has the voice of the people in her heart, you know, and she has been very vocal, not just on this issue, but just to give y'all, to bring y'all up to date. As one of my elders called me this morning and said, oh, I hope you're going to do something about this. You know, I like to prepare and be thoughtful in our presentation. This is our 30th year on the radio, and we take our time and our people's time very seriously. And I really thought about the fact that while I like to do that's true, we have to also be decisive in our movements and be able to share what is appropriate for the time as we continue to get more information. So I want to welcome to the airways of WRFG. I don't know if this is our first time here on the airways radio station WRFG in Atlanta. I almost call her Dr. Amanza Walton Desir. Good afternoon, sister, and thank you so much for joining us at such
Brother Kofi, how are you?
Doing well, thank you.
It's
How are you?
absolutely my first time on WRFG, and I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, even under these sad circumstances, you know.
Yes.
I was playing a song earlier, which of course you would know is one of the Guyana cultural songs, what we call a Kwekwe song, "Marnin Neighbor Marnin," and we're on the heels of we're on the eve, I should say, of the 1st of August, which is a huge celebration all over the Caribbean, Emancipation Day. Mm-hmm. This one has a different ring to it, and I was thinking of that song, the lyrics of that song, where in essence, for those of y'all who couldn't understand the lyrics, people are saying that, you know, they're talking about a fair weather friend who usually don't have the kind of manners that we would show as country people, who we would greet each other with respect and everything, but all of a sudden, when the money is flowing now, is Marnin Neighbor Marnin. And I was thinking of the political scene in Guyana, of which you're a part, and I'm grateful to say you're not reflecting that deceptive part that the song is reflecting, you know, about. But you know, nonetheless, you're deep in it. So just for beginners, you know, because for the sake of time, I just want to ask you to kind of share with us in a nutshell what happened with the MV Marina.
MV Barima, yes, yes. Tragically, we've lost, I would say, over 100, and it could be as much as 110 Guyanese. We don't know because we do not have the exact numbers that were on board the vessel.
Mm.
And it capsized, or it might have been late Sunday, last Sunday evening, the 18th of July.
Mm.
And oh man, I think the nation as a whole is just, we're shocked and traumatized. I think we're vacillating between anger and grief.
Mm.
Anger because we have a government that seems hell-bent on rubbing salt in open wounds, as it were. And grief because, Guyana is a small country, and almost everybody that you know, if they don't know somebody directly affected by this tragedy, knows one of the victims or one of the survivors. And so I think we're a nation in the grip of trauma and grief right now. I think we want answers more than anything else.
Right.
We want accountability, and not just accountability in the abstract sense, but accountability in the truest sense of the word. And that is, the right people must be held to account. I was talking with someone earlier, and I was saying that justice is not just that somebody must pay for what has happened, but that the right people must pay for what has happened. It is an injustice. If the people who are truly culpable for this, not necessarily the disaster, because the ship capsized at sea, but just the systemic failures that resulted in this disaster. And that is what sparked our ire and outrage in the National Assembly, because you had a government that has just lost 100 and something of its citizens because it continues to operate an 87-year-old vessel. Not only an 87-year-old vessel, but a vessel that has been deemed unseaworthy at least twice. And they still had it in operation. And then when you understand why it was still in operation, notwithstanding the trillions that we have budgeted over the last 6 years. Trillions. You understand that it is still in use because we appropriated sums in the National Assembly to purchase a new vessel. The new vessel was purchased. 2 new vessels were purchased, but could not be put to service the route because why? The wharf infrastructure could not accommodate that type of vessel. Monies were appropriated for the wharf. 2 procurement cycles later, 4 years after, the wharf is still incomplete. Massive design failures and flaws. And so the people were forced, systemic forcing of people, and particularly indigenous peoples, to use an 87-year-old defunct pile of iron to go on a 25-hour journey to Region 1. And then the government has the unmitigated gall to come to the Parliament to have one moment of silence and then proceed with business as usual. And we couldn't have that. We couldn't have that. There is not an apology yet to the people of Guyana for this incident. Nobody has come out and say, Guyana, we are sorry. Guyanese people, we are sorry. This has happened. We've lost our citizens. Instead, they're finding everybody to blame except the people who truly ought to be blamed, which are the ministers with direct responsibility for this tragedy and who preside over the 2 sectors, which is the Maritime Regulatory Agency, MARAD, which is Deodat Indar, and the Transport and Harbors Department, who operates the boat, which is Juan Echel. These gentlemen have not come out with anything like an apology to the people of Guyana, but they show up in the National Assembly and want to. Guess why they have come? They came for more money. They came for an additional $56 billion. Mind you, on February 14th of this year, we passed a budget of $1.558 trillion.
And they come for more money already in the midst of the national.
This money that they've come for, they laid the paper since June. So this ought to tell you just the deep anger that is existing in Guyana right now at the level of the parliament. And anytime we stand up and we show resistance, we are branded hooligans, and so be it. So be it. You want to call us hooligans? Then I guess we're hooligans. But you cannot spit in our faces and then expect that we must sit down and take it all the time.
You mentioned something. I mean, you mentioned many things very profound in what you've shared, and thank you for that update. There's so much to talk about. But I wanted to ask you to dig a little deeper, share a little bit more about the mood on the ground in Guyana, just in terms of how people are really feeling. You are a representative of the people, leader of the For Guyana movement. How are people? How are your constituents? What are they expressing at this time?
Hurt, anger, rage even. But at the same time, there is a helplessness that I truly believe is feigned, because I believe that if all of us stand up, that's the end of the story. But there is a, oh my God, what do we do? And so people feel angry and hurt. But the question is, are they angry and hurt enough to do something about it?
And that's a serious question. Yeah, that's a serious question you asked there, sis. That reflects the state of our people all over the world. There's a kind of a paralysis, and not just paralysis of analysis, because there's that too. Because at most bodega, rum shop, wherever people gather, the meek of the earth gather all over the world, people can tell you chapter and verse about the evils of the system. But then what are we going to do about it? So I completely understand what you're saying in terms of it's like that lukewarm space.
Yeah, but I truly believe as well, Brother Kofi, that for evil to prosper, it requires good men to do nothing.
Yeah, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie said one time that, throughout history, it's been the inaction of people, the silence of the voice of justice, the inaction of those who could do better, that has made it possible for evil to triumph.
Absolutely. And so I think this is where we are. And my concern is that unless we as a people stand up, this could happen again. And I keep telling people, we have a saying in Guyana, the rain don't fall on one man's doorstep.
True, sir. True story.
And it could be one of our relatives on the boat, like it could be your son or my daughter, or, it could be, that could touch our home, because when people leave in the morning to go to work, those crew members that we still can't find expected to be back home with their families.
Right.
10 of them are at the bottom of the ocean, because about 10 or 11 of them, if not more, have not yet been recovered.
That gives me chills.
So this is dire. And
I want to affirm publicly, out loud, that this is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back in the Guyanese context. I remember, I'm sure you were aware of what happened when George Floyd a few years ago was murdered in broad daylight and caught on camera, bawling for his mother. And that did something to just touch the nerve of people all over the world who could have been complacent before, ambiguous to the struggles of African people in this world and all this kind of stuff. And it seems like this, what I'm feeling is that this is something that is really touching people in a deep way. First of all, this is something that happened to poor people. You know, this is generally speaking, just for the context. Give us a little bit more context about what that route is all about. That fateful route.
Yeah, that's the road that the indigenous people and people who have, for example, small commercial shops operating in that area. Because remember, this is jungle almost. These are settlements in the Amazon rainforest, as it were. And so to get there, you have to depart Port Georgetown, and you head northwest, and there's a portion of it that takes you into the Atlantic Ocean, right? And so it's inland, Atlantic Ocean, inland again. And it was on that Atlantic Ocean leg that the ferry capsized and sunk. And it is usually taken by poor indigenous people, and people who have chosen to settle there. And these are generally people who can't afford to take a flight into the settlements because they are unable to afford, the fares that are being called. And so they have no choice but to sling up hammocks and so on this old ferry to get home. What was particularly unique about this voyage, Brother Kofi, is that because in Guyana we call them the August holidays, you call them summer holidays.
Yes.
But schools are closed. And so a lot of children who were out here going to school were returning or were going to spend the vacation with relatives and families there. We had a number of babies in arms that we still have not recovered. We've not recovered the little children. We have, for example, one man lost his entire family, his wife and 3 children. We had one lady whose husband died last year, and she lost every other remaining member of her family on that voyage.
One of the things that we saw and the world is seeing is members of the opposition, especially the opposition leader, out on the sea, attempting to help with the search and recovery efforts. For a country that has been deemed the fastest growing economy in the world, everyone has heard about Guyana in terms of the oil economy. What can you tell us about, outside of what the obvious irony of that, what can you tell us? I mean, you've already said a lot about the misappropriation of funds, at least you've very much hinted to that. Like, why is that so? What is the infrastructure like that would cause for private citizens, be them, it's politicians still, representatives of the people, but I heard about the inauguration. We all heard of the inauguration of the president last year where there was a military flyover of U.S. planes and everything. So 2 weeks later, there is still this controversy about whether or not they can lift the vessel from the bottom of the sea, et cetera, et cetera. Talk to us about that.
It is in terms of the raising of the vessel. It is a lack of political will. It is a lack of political will. I am trained in maritime law, so I understand salvaging and that entire environment in a far more nuanced way.
Right.
And I could say authoritatively, it is a lack of political will. That vessel is in 10 meters of water. There is in existence the equipment, the capacity to raise that vessel. They do not want to raise the vessel, however. And so what the government is on right now is a charm offensive to allow to have the families of persons whose bodies have not yet been recovered agree to cast the sunken vessel as a memorial site.
Oh my God.
So they are now twisting the narrative to suggest that if the families who have not yet recovered their loved ones agree to make the vessel a memorial, they will leave it there. Well, I have news for them, because they have charged the captain and 2 crew with murder. I mean, outside of how ludicrous that is, if you've charged them for murder, the vessel itself is evidence.
Sure.
If you say a crime has been committed, the vessel itself is possibly the key piece of evidence to either convict or for the defense to prove they're innocent. So how could you not bring it up?
Yeah, it's really disgusting. It's really disgusting.
How can you not bring it up? So the opposition leader, who has been himself a financier of the current government in the past,
Right.
and who has tremendous resources, has said, look, give me the permission, I will raise the vessel.
What's the response been so far?
No, they haven't given permission. And so we know that they don't want the vessel raised, because it appears that they do not want Guyanese to know what was on that vessel.
They made it sink. Because there's been, to go back to, we're just trying to piece a couple of things together for the audience who has been hearing, social media can be very informative and also give a lot of disinformation, So you mentioned the names of these ministers, Ejil and
Indar, yes.
Indar.
Indar. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we were told that one of the reasons for the protests about the demands for Ejil to step down is that he gave some misinformation from the jump about the capacity of the ship, but the ship was not overloaded, and that the manifest also, we were also told that the manifest showed one number, where in effect it's obvious that there were many more people on the boat than what the manifest showed.
Mm-hmm.
How do you read that evidence? And I mean, of course, this is not the court of law, but even just as a preliminary thing, because you mentioned that these people, I heard many people heard the wails of the captain as he was being taken into court the other day.
Yeah.
Talking about, how, and I've heard you and other people speak about how the engineer has spoken on a few times about how he did not even want to go to sea.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm hearing almost like people are trying to blame them or say you should have stood up to this. So my question is 2 parts, and I know we have a short amount of time. The first part is really the most important part for me, is for you to help to paint a picture of what kind of society, what kind of administrative, bureaucratic pressures people are under, that they would even feel forced to go onto a vessel that they know is not seaworthy. I spoke to my father about this, and the first thing he said when I was reporting it, he's like, yeah, well, people don't listen to that kind of, those types of pleas. There's a culture in Guyana that people in high places, supervisors, they don't listen to that kind of stuff. I want to hear from you, though.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. The elder is absolutely correct. The sad reality is that the MV Barima is an unfortunate but cautionary tale for Guyanese about where corruption leads and what happens when we allow our institutions to be eroded to the point that they do not function anymore. We know of captains who have refused to work on that vessel and ended up being penalized by being transferred away from their families, etc., because they refused to work on that vessel. The tender documents put out by the government themselves, because they came and received over $100 million for this Barima ferry. The tender documents that they themselves put out indicate such massive disrepair that it could be argued that that vessel is, when you look at the nature of those repairs, unseaworthy. Now, the government has mastered the art here of repression. And so you complain, and instead of fixing it, you get penalized for complaining. And they use the police, they use the administration of these various institutions and organizations. And if the heads of these agencies don't do as they say, the heads of agencies are also penalized. So there is this culture of domination and control. And then there is a propensity for corruption. And so the average Guyanese man or woman has been reduced to keeping their head down, going to work to earn, to feed their families. It is really the breaking and subjugation of a people that is happening here at the hands of a group of people who fancy themselves as the new plantocracy. And so what you're seeing is a type of modern day slavery emerging in Guyana, where people have no rights, where the unions are all but dead. And so people feel that they have no choice but to keep their heads down, tuck their tails between their legs, and go to work. So people like myself are anomalies. We who can stand up and speak up and insist that things be better, we're viewed as the outliers and the noisemakers, etc. Because that spirit of resistance, because of the 23 years of PPPC rule, Guyanese are afraid to speak up. But we as leaders can't stop speaking. We have to begin to fan that flame. Again, that might have gone out and might have died. We have to begin to fan that flame to help them to understand that if our ancestors had stayed bowed and cowed, then we would have still been on plantations.
Very, very
If
serious.
if we do not stand up now, we will leave a monster for our children and our grandchildren to deal with, that they will not be able to deal with, because we are not dealing with this monster while it is still young and small.
WRFG Atlanta 89.3 on the FM dial. With us on the phone, joining us via StreamYard, Honorable Amanza Walton Desir, who is the leader of the For Guyana movement, a member of the Guyanese National Assembly, the Parliament. And she is just giving us a cursory glance, just a small introduction, and we're grateful for her time. I know that there are many protests afoot all over the country. And what I want to ask you now is how the family overseas, not just Guyanese, but human beings who hear the sound of your voice and who have inherited, just by our human beingness, a long history of international solidarity. What can we do? What can the people in the diaspora, not just Guyanese again, but those listening, how can we affect change?
You can help affect change, even Guyanese specifically who are in the diaspora, by writing to your representatives and bringing these matters to their attention. The US, for example, has significant investment now in Guyana with Exxon, etc. And they have to be made aware that the lack of a democratic thrust and mindset in the current government jeopardizes that investment that they have here. And so they have to promote and support the establishment of strong institutions, etc. And of course, I always rely on the diaspora as a key partner in the development of this nation, whether it's through becoming involved in organizations here at home, that you can do knowledge sharing to begin to develop the capacity of Guyanese and help to lift the consciousness of Guyanese. I want us to understand, and I'll close with this. Yesterday, the Caribbean Court of Justice delivered a judgment in this extradition case that the leader of the opposition is involved in. And had to use strong words like condemning the Attorney General of this nation because of just the mediocre practices that they engage in here in terms of commenting on cases and affecting the independence of the judiciary. And so it was wrongly condemned. But what it demonstrated is that what Guyanese believe is normal is so abnormal and so below the bar of what is acceptable. But people have a saying that I can't repeat on air, but you know what it is. When you're mired in something, you're unable to even appreciate just how bad it is. But the diaspora can continue to speak up, continue to educate. Don't lecture, but educate and help to raise the consciousness of the people of Guyana. Yes, you will say that you have your own challenges. No place in the world is perfect, but there's some things that you've been able to make work that you can bring back and you can share with us in Guyana. And so stay engaged.
Yeah.
Stay engaged. And register and come home to vote. Register and come home to vote so that you have a say in the elections of this country. The way our laws are set up is that if you are Guyanese and you're registered to vote here, you can come home and vote so that you can positively affect change in this country.
I know you have to go. I have a question that might be a little, it's not necessarily a tough question, but I want to ask you to kind of penetrate a little deeper in terms of that call for people, because there's a segment of people who understandably would say, well, to call upon representatives of the government, a government that has shown itself to be genocidal all over the world and has political interests, so everyone knows how the oil story goes, If they're in bed with Exxon and everything, then it's going to, it seems to be that the government of Guyana is, a part of that whole old boys club now, at least a very junior member. They may feel that they have arrived at something special, but, history records that they would be a rude awakening soon. So talk to that mindset that say, well, that is a futile tool to use in the toolbox.
I will give an example of my own personal experience. The Parliament of Guyana had not met in over 100 days. At the 100-day mark, I said enough was enough and led an opposition effort to appeal to all of the international organizations, to appeal to the ABC EU countries who have diplomatic missions here, pointing out to them that Parliament is not working, pointing out to them that silencing the voice of the people is going to lead to destabilizing this country, etc. Do you know that within 2 days we had a date announced for Parliament? Because the only way this government responds is if you embarrass them.
Embarrassment.
You have to embarrass them into doing the right thing. And so it is not an exercise in futility. If anything, it is a demonstration of the fact that when we act collectively, we could have, Brother Kofi, a bare minimum of a type of existence here in Guyana. People say if you reach for the sun, you might miss and you might catch a star. It's far better than where we are. So not acting is in and of itself its own defeat. So sound your voice.
Absolutely.
Because we need every shoulder to this wheel. And the reality is that we're a small country. Yes, we have oil, etc. But we can make Guyana all that it can be. And in a time where all over the world there are problems, we can act to minimize the problems that we have here at home.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want
You're most
to share a proverb with the family and with you yourself as a means of encouragement. There's a proverb that says, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito.
And it is something that we know only too well. Only too well. here in Guyana. Brother Kobe, thank you for having me.
Thank you
Please
so
give
much
my
for
love
joining
to
us.
the elder.
For
And I
sure.
hope he is well, and talk again soon.
Yeah, from time to time, we'd love to have you on just to share.
Just invite. As long as we can squeeze it in, I'll be happy to.
Much love.
All right. Much love to you.
That is Sister Amanza Walton Desir, Member of Parliament and leader of the Forward Guyana movement, one of the opposition parties in the country of Guyana. So for those of y'all who keep sending me this thing here, on Facebook and Instagram, 2 things y'all always like to send me. And I don't blame you, so I'm just saying it publicly because I know it's sent with love and even with, like a big up and some type of encouragement or something. You send me this interview with Ifran Ali, the president of Guyana, waxing poetic about reparations, the need for reparations. And he handled the interview well. I would not refute that. He handled the interview well. And you also sending me this thing about how Guyana is the only country on the planet that can feed itself. Now, can is an operative word there because it's definitely possible. Guyana definitely has the ability, the potential is there to completely feed itself without any kind of imports and everything like that. I don't know if it's the only country in the world can do that, but it has a vast amount of resources. Guyana is a rich land. But you have to see now, and you heard it from the lioness mouth, and you can hear from many others. For those of y'all who listened to his voice, you heard it, one of the most prominent international voices that spoke to this cycle of corruption that is now spinning completely out of control was Dr. Walter Rodney, who was assassinated in 1980. Well, you've heard it time and time and time again, that potential is one thing, but when there is corruption driving the seat, when there is a lack of integrity, when there are internal contradictions there, that potential really amounts to nothing. And so people are suffering. So we give thanks for all of the people all over this world who are standing up in the face of weak art conception, standing up in the face of oppression and doing what is necessary to make a difference. We thank Sister Amanza Walton Desir for joining us this afternoon. We're going to go forward to some music, and in a moment, we will continue with a celebration of continuity. As we said, this program is titled Political Hygiene and Cultural Continuity. Both and. There's a lot that has to be changed and a lot that we can say, hold it right there. Don't change nothing, or continue your trajectory forward. Looking forward to reasoning with our brother Kweku Sundiata of Rising Sun Development Center. Stay tuned.
Yes, you, Mr. Politician. We're not blind, we're seeing you.
Joseph Hill to the witness stand, and it don't stop.
Yes, you, Mr. Politician. We're not blind, we're seeing you. You use the people's mystery for your prey, and you use war to be a business. Now I want you to tell the youth up now in the new millennium, how long this will continue, and how long you believe you have a loss. I wonder why politicians them won't go away. Rasta can't get no peace in this land.
You know, Guyana has a long history of politicians who got some strong rhetoric in international politics, but preside over the abuse of their people at home. Nothing new under the sun.
Yes, you, Mr. Politician.
Watch yourself.
Blind, we're seeing you.
Supposed to say so.
You use the people's mystery for your prey, and you use war to be a business. Now I want you to tell the youth up now in the new millennium, how long this will continue, and how long you believe you have a loss. I wonder why politicians them won't go away. Rasta can't get no peace in this land. I wonder why politicians them won't go away. Rasta can't get no peace on the land. Rasta children run them way, drive them way. When them come talk about election, I have been give run them way, drive them way. When them come talk about election, I wonder why the old thief them won't go away. Can't get no peace in a yard. I wonder why old PJ him won't go away. Can't get no peace down a yard. I told them, run them way, run them way. When them come talk about election, I'm not feel with that run them way. I have been give run them way. When them run come talk about election. Eddie, I wonder why politicians them won't go away. Rasta man can't get no peace of jungle. Wonder why politicians them won't go away. Bingy man can't get no peace in a jungle. Tivoli and jungle unite, drive them way, run them way. When them separate with election, keeping them a friend, so run them way. Bingy man a run them way. When them come talk about election. As God live, we must unite. You think I never see you when you go to Switzerland, go bank up the people their money? You think I don't know so when you buy places and properties all about where poor people can't read, forget back some of them tax money? Watch it. Depression, frustration. The poor man people hungry just like kill them. Frustration. Why squad walk like man? Poor people money bank away. We no want no politics. Wonder why politicians them won't go away. Bingy man want some peace on the land. Sure. Wonder why politicians them won't go away. Bingy man we want some peace of the land. Kings and queens, president, all them do is oppress God's people. Prime ministers, underdogs, Catholic while Jaja Lion I watch. Catholic. Dog a watch, listen what them say in society. No Anglican. Catholic, while old dog a watch, jump on to man catch. Hey. Come down off your ass, eh? Why me not pile up enough pamphlet, you know, me nah give no man we have already. The man who hungry have to eat, and the man who have already have to share. Yeah, my man. And me have something to tell you in the next version. Come down off your house. Some people are keep fast too long. Big fish are rain from the sky for you. Everything too easy for you. And it seemed to me that the rich man tax right off and the poor man have to pay that. Why? Them sell very little for your money. stars one by one, two by two, and I see you still. Oh yeah, now see, I'm sure my days will be long and my nights won't be few. Through the visions that's in me, I can see clearly where there is gonna be peace, love and harmony, black understanding among my people. Oh yes, among my people. They're gonna jump and shout, black liberation they are. Oh yes, we're gonna sing and shout, the right understanding they are. Oh yes, we're gonna jump and shout, black liberation they are. Oh yes, we're gonna sing and shout, the right understanding they are. Oh yes, men and people will try to cut it down, trying their very best to rearrange you. But no matter what they do, they won't conquer you, matter what they do. Oh no, we're gonna free our brother. We're gonna free our brother. We're gonna help our brothers. We're gonna love our sisters. Then we're gonna jump and shout, black liberation they are. Oh yes, we're gonna sing and shout, the right understanding they are. Oh yes, we're gonna jump and shout, black liberation they are. Oh yes, we're gonna sing and shout, the right understanding they are. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Black, black, black liberation they are. They are. Black, 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 black liberation they are. Oh yeah, nah, nah. See, men and people will try to cut it down, trying their very best to rearrange you. But no matter what they do, they won't conquer you, matter what they do. Oh no, we're gonna free up our brother. We're gonna free up our brother. We're gonna help our sisters, and we're gonna love our neighbor. And we're gonna jump and shout, black liberation they are. Oh yes, we're gonna sing and shout, the right understanding they are. Oh yes, we're gonna jump and shout, the black understanding they are. Oh yes, we're gonna sing and shout, the right understanding they are. Oh, so I'm sure my days will be long and my nights won't be few. Through the visions that's in me, I can see clearly where there is gonna be peace, love and harmony, black understanding among your people. Oh yes, among my people. And we're gonna jump and shout, black liberation they are. Oh yes, we're gonna sing and shout, the right understanding they are. Oh yes, we're gonna jump and shout, black liberation they are. Oh yes.
Were in Egypt and in Peru. Dramatic because the level of resistance of the ordinary people of Egypt was very high, and it had to be crushed by the Egyptian army. That was the alliance between Sadat and his clique and his class and international capital. In Peru, the struggle is still going on, a very protracted struggle where the working class and sections of the middle class are saying to the Peruvian ruling class, we do not accept to be sold to the IMF, to be part of a deal by which your position over us is guaranteed at the expense of this destruction of the living standards of the Peruvian people. And in Guyana, on a smaller scale, it is the same struggle. Workers and peasants who are aware of the fact that the policies that have been pursued in recent years and policies which have been intensified since Guyana decided that it was going to go to the IMF to get certain standby credits and compensation payments, that these policies undoubtedly wipe out whatever minor gains the workers might have won through their own struggle in the colonial period and in the early years of independence, and leaves them naked and exposed to a new form of exploitation, which in our instance may not be through the private ownership of the means of production, but the net result is exactly the same. We will continue to export in the form of compensation payments and in the form of other kinds of remittances, precisely the same value and more which we had exported when there was foreign ownership of the means of production. And the whole economic pressure has created the most amazing political scenario in Africa and the Caribbean. Because you cannot have an economic situation which is deteriorating that rapidly. You cannot have the rise of an indigenous African and Caribbean petty bourgeoisie, which is so ravenous and which is so willing to waltz with international capital. That cannot take place without at the same time there being political distortions within the system, reflective of those facts. And in many ways, it is easier even to start by identifying those political distortions and asking for the explanations why these distortions take place. Because frankly, nowhere in the world do you find a scenario of politics to compare with some African and Caribbean states. One could write a scenario that is a shared tragedy, and one could write a scenario that is a comedy, and they would both be applicable. Because the politics is nowhere so comic as far as the ruling classes are concerned, but the consequences are nowhere more tragic as far as the working people are concerned. So you move from one Caribbean state to another. You find these aberrations that sometimes when you think of certain films or certain novels, certain pieces of fiction which have been denounced as fiction, as having no bearing on reality, you wonder whether in fact you are dealing with fiction or with reality. Prime ministers who shuffle around, who resign and threaten to resign more often than any others in the world. Prime ministers who dress themselves up in different costumes. One day a general, the next day chief of police. Prime ministers in Africa who go to the prisons and haul out prisoners and beat them themselves. A prime minister who makes his wife the chief of the opposition. Those are not things taken from novels. Those are descriptions of what actually transpires in African and Caribbean states. And really what one has to ask is, why is that possible? If we were to take a well-known and classic example to which attention has been focused for a number of years, why is an Amin possible? Not who he is and what he does, but how was it possible in a place like Uganda? And it seems to me that the possibility of a buffoon and a murderer becoming a head of state is very much connected with the location of Africa in the international capitalist system, its marginalization, particularly in cases such as Uganda, where the primary crop was no longer as important, and the fact that the distortions produced as a particular accumulative class led at the time by Obote tried to absorb as much as it could, tried to squeeze as much as it could out of the Ugandan people. It created this distortion, and out of this the monster Amin arose. But he's not just an individual phenomenon. He can be explained in those historical terms. And because Uganda is not central to the production of surplus in the world system, then imperialism sits back and laughs. They don't have to enter and intervene in that situation. They simply have to hold him up as an example of what an African ruler is like. Another large black man ruling this society and being a buffoon. See? So they gain both ways. They are responsible for the fundamental distortions, but then they sit back and gain some propaganda value from the fact that Africans behave in that way when they are located in a specific historical and class conjuncture.
Dr. Walter Rodney, teaching hard. It could have been 2026 he made that lecture. But that was from 1978. Thing called Crisis in the Periphery, Africa and the Caribbean.
Soldier say, Rasta don't burn for no CIA. Just sent us here to show the way. Oh yeah, Rasta don't burn for no politician. To Rasta man is a good and upright man. So he will live, yes he'll live forevermore. Good and mercy, he'll enjoy. Soldier say, for through your word you will get paid. So try to live in an upright way. Tell the people what you say. Yeah. So you better leave him. Leave him in peace. So just say, according to your word, you will get paid. So try to live in an upright way. Tell the people what you say.
Tell the people what you say. Fred Locks, sing it same way. Fred Locks, the dreadlocks. I'll unpull it, my selector. As it is written in the book of life that the sun shall rise in the west in the first day, you know. Got a special guest coming up. Stay tuned to yourself.
Soldier say, Rasta don't burn
For no CIA.
Just sent us here to show the way. Oh yeah, Rasta don't burn for no politician. To Rasta man is a good and upright man. So
comforting reminder, what a comforting reality. According to your works, you get your pay. But we give thanks. We're going to go over to Mechanicsville. Where the earth always feels a thrill, you know. Because there's been a legion of one to touch the land with skill. Man called Fred Locks. I could play that all day, but you know, based on the time and all them kind of thing there. We give thanks for y'all joining us this afternoon. This is WRFG Atlanta 89.3 on the FM dial. As we said in our introduction and our announcement for the day, that we have a special guest. We're talking about political hygiene, which we spoke about earlier with our sister Amanza Walton Desir. And we're also talking about cultural continuity. It was really political stench we were talking about as a means of motivating us to establish political hygiene. But now we're talking about cultural continuity. There's an elder who walked amongst us, a giant, literally and figuratively, Baba Aduno Tariq, who reminded us that there is no culture without agriculture. No culture without agriculture. Agriculture is the first culture. And there's a group that rose up over 20 years ago who the leadership of that group, including Brother Kashan Myers, the executive director, really came up being groomed by this elder who lived in the Banneker City area, you know, and took that mantra and brought it into living flesh. And that's what we love, you know. As we were talking earlier with the sister, potential is one thing, kinetic energy is another thing. All day long, Bob Marley said, can't take their slogans no more. We'll leave our slogans. But there's people who take that energy, that inspiration, and put it to flesh. And we give thanks for the family from HABESHA helping Africa by establishing schools at home and abroad. And for those of y'all who are in the Atlanta area, those of y'all who are familiar with WRFG, you don't know who HABESHA is already. You know, we have been a part of that movement from WRFG perspective, you know, in terms of celebrating and reflecting that light that HABESHA has shown with such sincerity and such power in the community for many years. And where our guest is joining us from has been the scene of the Organic Fest for so many years. And now we're looking at, again, another birth in the community, which we love, you know what I mean? Because that's what the continuity is all about. It's a relay race. And as we say, the race is from strength onto strength. So I want to welcome to the airways of WRFG our brother Kweku Sundiata, otherwise known as the selector, with the skills to pay the bills. He does many things. He wears many crowns in our community. And he's joining us to share about this pending birth, or birth that is on the way. You know, as our elder, Imam Jamil of blessed memory say, you can't be halfway pregnant either. So it's on and popping. You can't stop it again. Very cool. Yeah, man. Blessed Lord.
Yo. Salute, my brother. Salute.
Yes,
you know, give thanks. Much respect to you as well, you know, for your work in the community, man. The fact that you have been on the radio for years. How many years has it been now?
Oh, this is our 30th year this year. Celebrating
30 years.
Yeah,
man. Whenever we are consistent and do something for the people for so long, it deserves to be honored. And so that's really, in essence, what we're doing this Saturday, as we're honoring HABESHA for their 19 years of work and even more years of doing the work that they're doing in the program, but 19 years specifically of stewarding this garden.
True.
And, you know, I salute you for your over 30 years of being on the radio, representing for our people. Funny enough, I get to understand that your history with this garden over here also extends back pretty far. We're at the Dunbar Center family 477 Windsor Street in Rosa Burney Park. And Ross Kofi, I hear that you have been, also participating in this garden for over 20 years.
Yeah, one way or the other. HABESHA, when HABESHA, as I just said, came on the scene and just gave us all a blessing of a charge of energy in so many powerful ways. Don't turn up your radio because I'm hearing an echo. That was one thing. Before that, previously on the top part, not where the garden is now, the Rastafari community in Atlanta rallied and cultivated that land for a little while as well, where I think there's now a playground and other things, beautiful, beautiful memories from the Nyabingi house and other ones involved, Sister Aymara Salwasi was there as one of the people who she was really the link, honestly. I mean, straight up, she's the link. The library moved. She was a librarian there. And then the library moved, of course, to where it is now, sharing a building with the juvenile court. But, the thing about it is beyond that, or I say, and that there's always been people, and we're still working on this documentary. There have been people, ourselves, HABESHA, Grow Where You Are, Truly Living Well, by the Kari, Diop, Think Green, and so many others have been kind of in the front face. And but all of us came from a people who have always been connected to the land, is my point.
That's right.
And so the beautiful thing about this journey has been, it's been more about reawakening what is already dormant inside the people, instead of kind of trying to force some kind of new science and everything, it's a beautiful thing, you know what I mean? There's many memories at that sacred space. So what we want to talk about is Rising Sun Development Center. First of all, that name in itself has a certain kind of resonance to it, and so for those who are not familiar, get us more familiar with Rising Sun.
And most definitely, man. So Rising Sun Development Center started in 2005 as a 3-quarter house. And, even before it started, one of the issues that I was running into, I graduated from FAMU with a degree in psychology, a minor in sociology, and I ran several programs in Tallahassee. And then Jeb Bush came into power, Regina, and cut all of the social service spending. So even though our programs had effective outcomes and we were serving, our people in a way where, we were really meeting needs and getting progress, the money got cut. And so at a young age, I said, boy, I want to go somewhere where I can get our people to support the work that we're doing for us, our own resilience. And Atlanta was a natural, thought for me to consider. And I had been coming to Atlanta with, folks that were doing work in the movement. Mama and Jerry, I came for the State of the Black World, and Mama and Jerry came and said to me, we need you here. And so when your elders talk, you listen.
I don't cut you, but that's the other name that I must mention in terms of the Dunbar Center. Mama and Jerry, Sister Courage.
Yeah. Sister Courage.
Office right there at the corner by the parking lot. Yeah, and that's a long story there, but I want to take, when you mentioned her, that was another name I was thinking of in terms of that link to that space. Mama and Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a legend. I miss her spirit. I miss her presence. But once again, I was familiar with her work within Cobra and her work in the community. And when I came to the State of the Black World, she engaged me. I said, no, brother, we need you here. The organizing you're doing down there, you have a home here to do this work. And so I took up the charge and came up here, hoping to establish something that would allow me to get the support from our people to do this work to help cultivate resilience. And that's Rising Sun Development Center. So fast forward a couple years later, we established Rising Sun in 2005, October 2005. So shout out for 20 years of service. And October will be 21 years. And so we started as a residential 3-quarter house, basically, folks that were living on the street, coming out of drug treatment, aging out of foster care. They were 3/4 of the way to living independently. They just needed a little bit of case management support, extra support. And so we started right there in the West End off of Lee Street in White Oak. and began our program. We had 2 duplexes where we were running the program. And eventually, we started to see the need for understanding the grants and, there were other needs. So the program has really grown over the years. I went and got a master's of public health so I can understand how to work with, support and grants, because I realized that I was not, there's more to it, right? The research that was being done was extractive. And then I realized through Morehouse School of Medicine that there's a better way to do research, community engaged research that could be equitable. So we went to Morehouse really to understand community-based participatory research and how we can utilize grant funding, utilize the research to tell the story of our work, right? Because a lot of times the revolutionaries aren't telling their stories. For me, we've been funding this work out of really my pocket for decades at this point, and we want to tell the story now because we understand how important it is to one, have our community understand what we're doing, why, and it's important for building community, for the message to get out there so that we can really get the support in addressing these issues. And so Rising Sun Development Center, the name came because one, we're Sun people, right? And development I got from Eric Williams' Capitalism and Slavery, and Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, where we talk about essentially, and through my work, I could see that the issue of Black and brown people around the world is really more so of an intentional lack of development that comes from systems of oppression, white narcissism, and racism that would rather underdevelop the people so that the resources can be taken. And the people are, in fact, the real resource. So our goal at Rising Sun is to develop ourselves as, and our humanity, develop our communities, not only in response to, these systems, but also to be who we are divinely and innately supposed to be.
True. That's a powerful work you're doing, beloved, and we give thanks for that. We give thanks for that. I don't think anyone needs any convincing of the need, the necessity of their work. So the fact that you fill in that void, and answering that call is a beautiful thing. So we are talking about passing the torch. I've seen a flyer circulating on social media and everything, passing the torch. So bring us up to speed in terms of how Rising Sun now interacts with HABESHA and what's the relationship with the garden on Rosa Burnley Park.
Awesome. Yeah, man. So, what we know in this work is that it takes many hands to make light work, right? And so we can't do it alone. When I come from a long line of agrarian, farmers, an agrarian family where we work the land and live off the land and work in community. That's how my grandparents built their homes and so on. And so it's natural for me to want to be in community. And I've known Brother Kashan for 30 years. When we went to FAMU, 96, I met him when I came into FAMU. And he ended up leaving and going to Howard, and we stayed in contact. And when I got here, we connected as well. Fast forward to 2011, 2012, I did HABESHA Works, the urban agriculture, program. And so I was able to build on my legacy of farming from my family and add some technical skills and knowledge and things that I needed to be able to plug into farming now and in this space in Atlanta. And so from 2012, when I was going through the program, we were farming here in this space. We were learning and practicing, and developing those practical skills at this garden. And over the years, we come back and volunteer and do different things. And so, I've been connected to this space since 2012. And when HABESHA has grown by leaps and bounds, HABESHA and Rising Sun Development Center signed an MOU together so that we could now, take over the stewardship of this space. As HABESHA is going on to do other things, we are taking over the stewardship of this space, which is a natural growth because we have been doing programs and the kind of programs that are needed right now, the youth development programs that we've done, programs in terms of case management, humanitarian aid, all of these different programs. This community needs that work, and the garden is a great public space to be able to do the education, do the community building, do the human development and community development that is a part of our mission. So we signed the MOU of how we would work together. They transitioned the garden to us, you know, because of our track record and work. And we're continuing to build on that wonderful legacy.
Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks. So when we talk about passing the torch, there's no ambiguity to that. It's a very tangible torch, a torch of service, community service, a torch of excellent community service, you know what I mean? A torch of the development of people, human development. That's what agriculture really fundamentally is human development, you know? It's, again, developing this essence, these tendencies, this potential that we have. And there are not too many ways. You know, I always hear the talk about how one of the closest ways, they say the quickest way to know about God is to get married. And
you know, brother, hold on. Let me introduce my wife as you say that. She's sitting here trying to stay off camera. She's trying to stay off camera.
I was trying my hardest.
But you naturally, you grandmothered into the thing.
Right.
Yeah, man. You don't know. You don't know. So I didn't want to cut you, but I wanted to make sure because Kashan is able to do what he's able to do because he has a strong wife and a strong mother. I'm able to do what I'm able to do because I have a strong wife and strong mother and strong sisters in the community that support. So I want to make sure that I also highlight this wonderful woman who is a part of that. And so I don't want to cut you. Go ahead and finish what you're saying, but you know, I want to include her.
No cut right there. That's a great insertion, and we give thanks. I want people to know live and live in color. This is not no fantasy business. So
that's right.
Yeah, but so that said, and you know, of course, I mean, there's many. We can joke about that all day long. The practical reality is, you know, one of the things that told me marriage is the closest way to get to God because the way to be one with the Creator is to be like a child. And in order to be like a child, you got to be purified. And marriage purifies your ego, you know, because, you know, you're sincere. You know what I mean? I know you can bear witness to that, both of y'all. But the other thing is agriculture. Agriculture, you know, because we are living out in our birthright. We're living out in our first estate, you know. Not just the fact that we're feeding ourselves, maybe the fact that there's imperative and the impetus is there because we are feeding ourselves, you know, so you get that motivation. But just the whole process of agriculture is so instructive in terms of the human development. So we salute HABESHA for years without fears. We salute Rising Sun same way for stepping up to the plate and continuing this legacy. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. But what I want to ask you to do is just give us the details about the gathering that will take place this 1st of August. I don't know if that was deliberate on the 1st of August too, because, you know, 1st of August is my favorite holiday in the world, you know.
Yeah, man.
Other than African Liberation Day, that kind of took over as I grew and started learning about African Liberation Day because of what all that means. But, you know, coming from Guyana, 1st of August is, we look forward to that day. And that's a whole nother conversation, you know. So tell us about the nuts and bolts of the celebration on this weekend, the Strong.
Oh, man. So we are celebrating 19 years of stewardship and even more years of doing work. The HABESHA has existed for even more than 19 years, but 19 years specifically of stewardship of this particular space, which, as you did described in a conversation earlier, you know, the garden has been running for maybe 25 years. It's been going on for a while, but 19 years of stewardship is what we're celebrating. On August 1st, which is this Saturday, 1 to 5, we're going to be celebrating 20 years of Rising Sun Development Center's existence and doing work and the transition, celebrating the past, honoring the past, and, you know, working towards this wonderful future, this shared destiny of resilience and thriving. And so we are going to honor Kashan and HABESHA for their 19 years work. We have City Council who's going to be there of this particular district in Mechanicsville. And we're honoring Kashan and HABESHA with a proclamation. That's going to be at 2 o'clock. We'll have the African drummers in place. We'll have vendors in place, music from DJ Sunjata to myself, you know. We're gonna be here. You know, we always have to have, whenever we have community, we have to have music and food. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we have to have music and food. So we're going to be playing some music and celebrating, you know, this wonderful, wonderful work. We will also have a panel discussion with farmers that represent over 150 plus years of working in food sovereignty, food security, and they'll be presenting and having leading a discussion to help really charge up the community, inspire the community. We have a lot of new folks interested in gardening, especially what's been going on with the quality of the food and the issues around food. And so that panel discussion is going to be very exciting. We have Baba Rashid Nuri of Truly Living Well, who is going to be presenting. He's one of our legendary farmers, been farming for over 50 years. One of the farmers for the Nation of Islam back in the day. You know, he's farmed over 6,000 acres of land. We've got Mama Helene, the garden queen, who represents one of the oldest female gardeners in our community, and has been, you know, growing all types of tropical fruit, everything you can, you know, imagine. She's been able to grow here. Wonderful, wonderful elder. We have Sister Jasmine, the healing hipster, who represents the new vanguard of sister power in agriculture. Wonderful spirit, wonderful energy. I could just, you know, go on and on about what I've been seeing. You know, I've been, you know, kind of watching her online and seeing her growth and development, her commitment to the work. And then we have Kari Diop, Brethren Kari, who you mentioned earlier, yes, sir. From Think Green. And he does the compost. And if you're going to grow food, you need that black gold. You need that compost. And he's got a just integral part of this movement. Yeah, man. And turning our waste, right, into growth. That's what he does. And so, you know, big up to him and all the great work that he's doing. But once again, 477 Windsor Street, you're going to come in on the Fulton Street side between 1 and 5. You know, rain or shine, we're going to be here celebrating, you know, the work that's being done here. So come through.
Give thanks, brother. Give thanks, sister, for joining us as well. And putting that in the chat, 477 Windsor Street, Roselle Burney Park, Dunbar Neighborhood Center. What was
excuse me, brother.
HABESHA Garden. So the new name is going to be unveiled on Saturday?
The new signs will be unveiled. I already put the name out there.
Okay, so what's the new name? We were going to add to the little, you know, the build-up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but let me tell you, the build-up is going to be when you come and see these signs, right? So the signs are listen, just come and see the signs. Shout out to my brother, DJ Rebellion, who's also been a supporter of HABESHA and a supporter of mine for years, right? And so we want to shout him out. He's the artist who does murals. And so he did our sign. He did the previous HABESHA sign. And so he's been supporting our community with the artwork, and any revolution, any growth in any community building, we need the artists as well. And so, yes, the name of the garden, though, the name of the garden is Rise, R-I-S-E, Come Unity Garden, right? And the RISE stands for Resilience, Investments, Equal, Sustainable Empowerment. And we're asking our community to come and unite with us, come unity with us, do unity, it's a verb. And we're asking you to come unity and build resilience so that we can have sustainable empowerment as a community. We're not waiting for anyone else to do it. We're doing it ourselves. And we need ourselves. We're investing in ourselves. We're investing in our resilience.
Well, thank you for joining us. Unity. Yeah, man. Give thanks for the word. Give thanks for the work. We're going to move out of here to make way for more beautiful programming on the station for progressive information. I want to leave the item with this one here, which has been a theme song for the HABESHA family for years. Baba Kweku and my sister, and I don't know your name, but much love to you. And
Sister Tika.
Sister Tika, yeah, give thanks. And family, we're going on the road. Take care of yourself, take care of one another.
Salute, my brother.
Holy land, Rasta say, listen is the end of the man who broke the law. Holy land, Rasta say, till up the sign for the farmer, make we jump. Blessed is the end of the man who broke the law. Holy land, Rasta say, oh farmers of the rising sun, I see your works and the deeds you have done from spring, summer, winter, and to autumn. You just plant up the land and make the crops them come. So fill up the sand for the farmer, make we chant and plant. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, blessed is the hand of the man who rule the land. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, fill up the sand for the farmer, make we chant and plant. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, blessed is the hand of the man who rule the land. Holy, holy land. Well, a country without the food won't have a strong backbone. Make a way, can't have the building and we can't have the stone. Agriculture is the key in any country because we can't have the machinery nor the paper money. So fill up the soil for the farmer, make we chant and plant. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, blessed is the hand of the man who work the land. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, fill up the soil for the farmer, make we chant and plant. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, blessed is the hand of the man who work the land. Holy, holy land. 6 o'clock in the morning, farmer pick up him tool. It went over the hills and when the stream runs so cool up when they put it on the jungle, they must remain and they pull him down. 5 she goat and a dozen black rum him down. Acres of banana, herbs and yam, land preparation, set up the irrigation, food in abundance, make we feed the nation. No malnutrition, no big in a big population. Only for food for all exportation. Fill up the sand for the farmer, make we chant and plant. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, blessed is the hand of the man who work the land. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, fill up the sand for the farmer, make we chant and plant. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, blessed is the hand of the man who work the land. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, oh farmers of the rising sun, I see you works on the deeds you have done from spring, summer, winter, and to autumn. You just plant up the land and make the crops them come. So fill up the sand for the farmer, make we chant and plant. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, blessed is the hand of the man who work the land. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, fill up the sand for the farmer, make we chant and plant. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, blessed is the hand of the man who work the land. Holy, holy land, Rasta say, fill up the sand for the farmer, make we chant and plant. Holy, holy land, Rasta say,